Hello, everybody, and welcome to this joint webinar today regarding XDR security. And we'll be talking about the role of both SOAR and XDR in delivering cutting-edge security services. Today's webinar is brought to you by both Simplify and SciNet. My name is George Tube, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at SciNet. And I'm really happy today to be joined by Michael Glosser, who's the Director of Managed Security Services at Simplify. Today we'll go through each one of us talking a little bit about XDR from a different perspective. Obviously, Simplify is a leader in SOAR technology, and Michael will jump into that and sort of present XDR from that perspective. And I'll talk about it from what SciNet is doing in the world of XDR. So if you, many of you on the call likely heard of XDR, know a little bit about XDR. Many of you don't know a lot about XDR. It seems that every analyst firm and every so-called XDR vendor seems to have a different definition. And if you go out and listen to each one of those, you may come away with a different perspective. And I encourage you all to continue to educate yourself, because everybody will have a different angle. What I want to do is share how SciNet looks at XDR in this segment. So to give you that perspective. So the reason why we need a new tool, why we need something like XDR from our perspective, is just that after all the time and money we've spent on cybersecurity, we still face a number of very real challenges. The problem of alert overload is very real. Anybody on the webinar that has to deal with threat alerts knows the problem of alert overload. And it's not that there are too many really important alerts that come out, but it's just difficult to sift through all the alerts that are coming at the cybersecurity staff. And the main problem is really we're overlooking or ignoring alerts just because it's impossible to keep up. And if you're a big security team, you just may not have the bandwidth to deal with all the alerts that come at you. If you're a small security team, not only don't you have enough bandwidth, but you often likely have a lower level of cybersecurity expertise. And along with the alert overload is the fact that we still have very manual ways to approach alerts. As you can see on here, the mean time to identify a breach, the mean time to contain a breach are just very lengthy. And this is just unacceptable at this stage in cybersecurity with everything that we've put into it. And these numbers are here, and it's not that we don't always go back and say, oh, I should have seen that. Oh, that signal was there. But we, the problem is we missed it. So what can we do to avoid that? And then the, kind of the third thing on here, the fact that the cybersecurity stack has just become unwieldy. It's too many tools. It's too complex. There's too much integration. There's too many panes of glass. And, and that's for a big company. For a smaller company, they usually just don't have the people and budget to even have all the right tools in place. So the real question is, what really is a right set of tools? What's the right combination of tools? So, I think, a lot of the vendors and analysts in the cybersecurity community looked at this and said, we have to figure this out. We have to address this. We have to fix this. And what's the answer? So a lot of folks are looking at XDR as at least maybe not the ultimate answer, but a way to make a big dent, a way to really move the ball forward to fix some of these things that have proliferated over the years. And XDR is the shiny new thing. The analysts are talking about it. The vendor community is aligning behind it, because I think a lot of it just makes sense. And for me, the best way to think about XDR is really, the next step in the evolution of EDR. And, EDR was a great start and got a lot of things right. And it fundamentally came from the realization that the prevention technologies that we put out there, while critically important and need to stay where they are, just don't do enough. Because you can't prevent a threat 100% of the time. So you need a better way to detect threats that have successfully bypassed the prevention tools. And EDR really got that right and did a very good job. But now that EDR is 7-8 years old, and companies been running with it for a while, we realized we just need a better way to increase visibility beyond the endpoint. A lot of bigger organizations invest in a lot of additional controls and then have to, manage and integrate. And a lot of smaller companies just can't afford those additional controls to look beyond the endpoint. And then we need a better way to respond to threats, that have been identified, because, again, our security analysts are just overwhelmed right now. So if we just expand on and unify some of our existing capabilities, we could perhaps fix a lot of the problems that we're still facing. And this is fundamentally what XDR does. So let me frame XDR by looking at its components a little graphically. So if I was going to create a really highly simplified view of breach protection architecture, I might come up with something like this. And essentially what we're saying here is that we have a number of security controls that are looking at signals across the organization. It may be EDR or NDR or some email security tool or cloud security tool. Then a big organization will have this come into a SIEM, and a SIEM will integrate all the alerts and normalize them and prioritize them so that analysts could go to work on them. And then an organization may have a SOAR tool, and they'll use the SOAR tool now to automate a lot of that manual work, automate investigation, automate remediation, have playbooks and very advanced capabilities to take away a lot of the manual work that would otherwise have to be done. And then the SOAR tool could also reach out to other components in the organization for our information or to make changes, things like Active Directory or the proxies or the firewall. So, this kind of pulls together all the important components across the organization. And, in this view, EDR would just be one of the controls on the top. Now, if we slice it a little bit differently and looking at it in this context, XDR essentially carves out the key pieces of this stack and puts it onto a single unified platform. It doesn't do the whole stack in a single platform, but it takes a step, and it first integrates controls on top rather than going out and buying a whole bunch of separate controls and integrating and managing them. They're already built into the XDR platform. And this allows XDR to have SIEM-like capabilities, that the signals and information are all on a single platform and already integrated out of the box. And then from a response automation standpoint, because all the signals are present and on the same platform, we can start to automate some of the functions. Like figuring out, what actions may have preceded an alert, what's the full scope of an alert that's detected, and then automating some of the remediation actions across the environment. And this all comes in a single unified platform. Now, XDR does not provide the full capabilities of a SIEM or a SOAR that can go out and integrate, really any component across the environment. But it can, out of the box, provide similar capabilities for the controls that are provided within the platform. So let me take a couple of moments just to talk about some differences between XDR and EDR, because I think that helps frame it. Now, an EDR solution, as you might expect, protects endpoints. Most EDR tools now have a next generation antivirus capability, but they're really still focused on endpoint protection. If you want additional controls, you have to go out and purchase those controls and integrate those controls. Realizing that only looking at the endpoint is very limited, from an EDR perspective, XDR platforms, and I'm sharing SciNets here, monitor and leverage combined signals from endpoint, from network, from the user. It even includes deception technology. And this is all part of a single platform. Again, so rather than purchase all these separately and then integrate everything as we showed on the previous slide, this all comes, at least from Synet's perspective, available out of the box, pre-integrated. And with this approach, you can quickly determine the severity of an alert by connecting it to related alerts within the platform. Provides much better detection accuracy, reduces the volume of false positives. It can help you see maybe if a seemingly benign alert is actually just one part of a larger attack by combining related alerts from these other control points that are part of the platform. And then natively combining the controls means it always works. Every time a vendor makes a change to one of these controls, if they were purchased separately, you don't have to go through all the steps of updating and testing and making sure the integration points work, nothing fails. This all is part of a single unified platform. And what it essentially does is really provide a layered defense out of the box where you can protect the endpoint, detect lateral movement on the network, detect if a user account maybe has been compromised, and then finally layer in deception technology. And as part of a layered security stack, deception technology is really that last line of defense that can uncover attacks that have successfully bypassed the other controls. And now this becomes part of the platform. Up till now, only very large organizations typically can afford deception technology and be able to manage deception technology. And now it all becomes available within the stack, and it's just configurable. You just go into configuration settings, and you have deception within the platform. Another key difference between EDR and XDR and Synet XDR is looking at the responses, the remediation actions that you can get out of each. And if you look at the response actions from EDR, they're somewhat limited, of course, because they're focused on the endpoint. And again, this is an amazing capability. It's incredibly useful and very important. But XDR now includes all the remediation capabilities that EDR has, and then expands that remediation beyond the endpoint to be able to do remediation for a network, users, and sometimes even other parts of the environment. And with this expanded reach, you could also now add in things like remediation playbooks, as shown on the bottom, that string multiple remediation actions together in response to specific threats. And these playbooks can be automatically invoked when a threat's detected or triggered manually, depending upon what the organization prefers. And this example, you could see a ransomware playbook that will include the steps that an organization wants to take when ransomware is detected. And again, this is limited to the controls that are part of the XDR platform that's being run, but generally reach out to a lot of the important components in the environment to instantly address a threat, especially something critical like ransomware. And then another key difference that I've seen, and maybe this is just exclusive to Synet, is the recognition that most companies don't have enough staff. Again, as I said before, a lot of smaller companies don't have deep cybersecurity skills. And using a managed detection and response service is just a great way to augment your staff with highly skilled analysts. But of course, it's an additional expense. And some EDR vendors provide this service for a fee. Some will do it in-house. Some do it with a third-party provider. And at Synet, with Synet's XDR platform, clients get a full NDR service that's included at no extra cost. So, this means that clients get 24/7 continuous proactive alert monitoring to make sure that nothing dangerous is overlooked, and proactive threat hunting to unveil hidden threats within the environment. You get help with investigation, which is like a deep dive into validated attacks, so that the organization can fully uncover the root cause of the threat, the scope of the threat, the dwell time, the impact of the threat, and then leverage updated IOCs out of every attack. From a response standpoint, there's assistance in remote incident response. The team will come in and do investigations and develop comprehensive remediation plans if a threat does happen to make its way across the environment, along with detailed attack reports. And then there's general research reports that come out on new threats. There'll be some critical updates that organizations should be looking at as a reminder of those, and newsletters, and just expert advice to basically ask anything. And again, this is all included as part of the platform. And then finally, let me say, specifically for MSPs, MSSPs, and service providers, SINET has built in some very important capabilities. And with one instance of SINET, MSPs, MSSPs could really get support for all of their clients. Full multi-tenancy capability. Each client can be uniquely configured and supported from a single pane of glass. And this allows for the client to be able to take action on their end, or full management of everything from the MSSP provider side. There's the platform, as we said before, is fully unified. Everything is available in that single instance with full coverage of users, hosts, files, and network. And then finally, it's extremely easy to deploy and deliver. The SINET platform can be deployed to up to 5,000 endpoints in an hour. And it's very simple and easy to configure, and be able to customize configuration at each client, and then within segments of each of the client's environment. So with that, I think I'm going to turn the presentation over to Michael to talk a little bit and educate everybody on SOAR.
That's awesome. Thanks, George. That was fantastic. So let's jump right in to the SOAR segment of the presentation. If we start to the next slide. And as George started us off, the challenges internal security teams face are well known. So MSSPs face the same core challenges enterprise security teams do, but only at a much larger scale. So too many alerts, shortage of skilled analysts, managing diverse security stacks, ad hoc investigation and response processes. However, there are several challenges specific to MSSPs due to the nature of their business. Skyrocketing customer acquisition costs, lack of centralized visibility, increasingly diverse delivery models and customer interfaces, dealing with 24/7 operations, employee retention. If you proceed to the next slide. MSSPs are engaged in a constant struggle to ensure their existing security team keeps up with growing customer expectations. And due to an ever-expanding digital footprint, heavy investment in detection, and a growing list of security tools to monitor, the industry is really at its tipping point. To succeed and remain competitive, an MSSP must drive consistency and efficiency regardless of the delivery model. And MSSP leaders come to recognize that the answer does not lie with legacy security solutions or in just merely throwing more bodies at a problem, right? Operational standardization is critical for MSSPs. And while security practitioners hate to be painted in a box, they also know that competing businesses are continually innovating. And they leverage technology to standardize and streamline the repetitive, high volume manual tasks that consume a security operations team, resulting really in more time for innovative and competitive projects. It's a simple equation. Automation drives more efficiency, allowing for more customers and the more use cases with potentially fewer staff, which means more profitability. If you'll proceed to the next slide. So enter StageRight, offering answers to many of the highlighted challenges. Simplify presents a single platform that orchestrates actions across the entire security product stack for faster and more scalable incident response. I mean, it drives the streamlining of IR processes by connecting disparate tools and automating manual, repetitive tasks that don't require human intervention. The automation of MSSP activities is a win-win for MSSPs and your customers. MSSPs, and you can manage more clients while reducing operational costs and providing an improved level of service. MSSPs win, customers win, and the whole world's a more secure place. And at the end of the day, the stats do not lie. So incidents will inevitably happen. So the key will be limiting your time of exposure and reducing the mean time to detect and respond. You can accomplish this with automated remediation in concert with security orchestration, automation, and response, SOAR. And while SOAR is at the heart of what we do, we go beyond just automation and playbooks to offer a much broader solution that serves as a central workbench for your SOC. We include things like collaboration, crisis management, case management, advanced automated reporting, all built into the platform. And all of this really gives you the needed situational awareness, flexible automation, and visibility to help you optimize delivery to the end customer and expand or even shore up your services. Simplify is frequently looked at in the managed security space to explore new opportunities to, one, enhance your portfolios or to increase your security posture. Here's an example. And I'll go back to MTTR, right? So one customer received 200 phishing alerts in 1 week. Without Simplify, analysts spend 4 hours to remediate each alert. With Simplify, the mean time to resolution decreased to 15 minutes per alert. And so we did the math, which decreased FTE spending and cost by 93.75%. Let's call it 94%. So aside from your SOC's efficiency, Simplify allows service providers to instantly go beyond threat monitoring and alerting services to deliver advanced detection and response as a service. And a lot of this comes down to a killer set of features that are at the core of our platform. If you go to the next slide, please. The platform is fully multi-tenant across every module. So this gives you the ability to create an isolated environment that's dedicated to a customer so you can seamlessly manage the disparate technologies, permissions, reporting, and playbooks across your entire client base from a single pane of glass. Our remote agent allows running actions on security tools deployed on remote customer sites without the need for a VPN. Reporting for us is a key pillar. I mean, your customers want to know what they're getting for the money that they're spending. So with Simplify BI, you get Tableau embedded in each Simplify instance, gaining the ability to translate SOC activities into a number and presenting you complete visibility and control over your security operations and a clear view of your ROI. You also get scalability and supported scaled out architecture, and you get support for really any service model, from a fully managed SOC to a hybrid model with your customers, or from a fully managed SIM on the customer's premise to a central multi-tenant SIEM. The platform is fully flexible to support really any MSSP methodology. So this allows you to suit Simplify to your business instead of changing your business for a SOAR platform. And we know modern security threats come in many different forms, which is part of the reason why addressing them is so challenging. So Simplify, however, offers the flexibility and automation required to address and streamline virtually any type of incident response workflow, including the top security threats that businesses face today: phishing, malware, insider threats, threat hunting. In all of these ways, Simplify helps bring security operations to the next level by adding efficiency and depth to your ability to detect and respond to threats of all types. As the most, I would say, MSSP focused SOAR platform on the market, we couldn't agree more. And it's something that Gartner had shared, is that SOAR plays an essential role in helping security services to provide services that include remote response. MSSP and MDR providers are realizing incredible benefits from SOAR, which go beyond, far beyond operational efficiency, and extend to new revenue generating services, as well as differentiated customers' experiences. And while there are many SOAR-like solutions out there, here's a few things that I believe set us apart. First, we are the #1 independent SOAR vendor, which means we're not predispositioned towards any specific technology. I mention this because it's essential to keep in mind that by their innate integrative nature, SOAR platforms must play nicely with the entire security ecosystem. And our roadmap is driven solely by our customer needs, allowing us to innovate quickly and remain highly responsive to customer needs. Also, organizations must think about their processes before jumping to implement a SOAR solution. At times, we found that low process maturity can serve as an obstacle to implementation. So at Simplify, we have given this a lot of thought in trying to speed up time to value, and have invested heavily in our use case marketplace. And this allows even less mature organizations to hit the ground running with ready to deploy packaged use cases. Powerful yet simple. And with more appetite to automate security tasks than I think ever before, it's hardly surprising that many products are adding basic automated workflows to their products. And while SOAR is at the heart of what we do, we go beyond just automation and playbooks to offer a much broader solution that addresses more extensive security operations needs and include more integrations, case management functionality, robust reporting, and several other capabilities just purpose-built for the service provider space. So this provides you, at the very least, a high level of XDR, SOAR, and SINET and Simplify's role within the market. And at the very least, I hope that this has given you something to think about. If you are interested and would like to learn more, I would challenge you to sign up for a free trial, join our community, or schedule a demo just to see how it works, or even if it just validates what you may already have in the works. Happy to share more. So thank you everyone for taking the time out to join our webinar. Please stay safe.
Yep. Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate that. I always learn something when I talk with you, especially about SOAR technology. And I agree with Michael. Anybody that wants to learn more, very simple to go to our websites. We know that these are new technologies, and we have a lot of content and tools to help educate and frame these technologies, and are always available to answer questions. So with that, I think I'm going to end our meeting for today, and I appreciate everybody, joining. So long.